Hello there, a very good morning. This is the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 6th of March 2025. And as always, we have the details of this morning's top local, international and sports news items coming right up. So you can stay tuned with us for the news in detail. Let's move on to the top local news item this morning. Now, former Minister Mervyn Silva has been arrested. He was taken into custody at his residence in Battaramulla by officers of the Criminal Investigation Department. Police said that another individual was arrested along with the former minister. Well, today is the 7th day of the debate on the third reading of the appropriation bill, which we also call the Parliamentary Committee stage debate. The expenditure heads of the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Mass Media will be taken up for debate today. And yesterday, the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment and the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources were taken up for debate in Parliament. The committee stage debate is set to continue for 19 days, spanning over 4 Saturdays as well, from the 27th of February to the 21st of March. And the vote on the third reading of this appropriation bill is scheduled for 6 p.m. on the 21st of March. On to more local news now. The Consumer Affairs Authority reports that it has collected over 54 million rupees in fines through raids conducted so far this year. Its director Asila Bandara stated that these fines were imposed on 3,521 shop raids. He added that the majority of these raids were related to rice stocks. Accordingly, legal action has been taken against 434 shops that sold rice above the control prices and 871 shops that did not display their price lists. Now, meanwhile, a stock of Kiri Samba rice allegedly prepared for illegal sale at inflated prices in a warehouse in Dangedra, Gaul, was seized by officials of the Consumer Affairs Authority Gaul District Unit yesterday. They said that the raid was carried out based on information received by its officials. During the raid, 55 5-kilogram bags of Kiri Samba rice were discovered. Now, the Consumer Affairs Authority also conducted raids in Noora area yesterday to find traders selling rice at inflated prices in their shops. And our correspondent said that the Consumer Affairs Authority took steps to file lawsuits against traders who sold rice at inflated prices and those who had not displayed the price lists. Meanwhile, Canada has agreed to provide Sri Lankan farmers with the necessary knowledge and training on how to conduct and manage agriculture in the face of climate change. This agreement was reached during a meeting between the Canadian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Eric Walsh, and Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation, K.D. Lalkantha. Now, during the meeting, the High Commissioner stated that Canada is also prepared to introduce climate-smart projects to Sri Lanka. Minister Lalkantha pointed out that the Canadian High Commissioner that agricultural lands in Sri Lanka are very small in area, which hinders the use of new technologies, increases production efficiency and reduces costs. The minister also informed the High Commissioner that previous governments had acquired farmers' lands and handed them over to private companies to establish large-scale enterprises. However, the minister emphasized that the current government's plan is to allow farmers to maintain ownership of their lands and facilitate the creation of large-scale agricultural companies by farmers themselves. Then the Canadian High Commissioner noted that Canada has also achieved significant development in its agricultural sector through farmer companies formed by small-scale farmers who join together at the cooperative level. The High Commissioner also stated that Canada intends to invest primarily in agricultural development in the northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka. Let's move on to more local news now. The Auditor General's Department's 2023 annual audit report has revealed that Sri Lanka has had to pay an additional 3,010 million rupees due to the purchase of buses from India without a scientific basis or a needs analysis being conducted. Now, these buses were purchased using $20 million from an Indian credit line. The procurement process for 500 buses, comprising 54-seater and 35-seater models, began following the cabinet approval being granted in the year 2018. However, a new policy decision by the government in 2020 led to the commencement of procurement of 600 buses instead, including 45-seater and 35-seater models. This resulted in the procurement of 100 more buses than it was initially planned. Completely bypassing all previous procurement processes, 500 new buses were purchased in 2023 with new cabinet approval. A 32-seater bus was purchased at $26,662 and 50 cents. Consequently, the total expenditure for the 500 buses amounted to 13,311 and 250 million. I beg your pardon. $13,311,250 US. Now, according to the audit report, the value of a single bus in Sri Lankan rupees was approximately 11.2 million. And according to the audit report, it says that this represents an increase of 6.2 million rupees compared to the cost of a bus planned for purchase under the 2018 procurement process. On to more local news now. A mother and her son have died from electrocution in Biriagama in Randiagama, Surya Baba. Our correspondent says that the two died after coming into contact with an electric wire that was strung behind their house. The incident occurred at approximately 2:30 p.m. yesterday near a bakery located behind their home, where they came into contact with an electric wire that was supplying power to this bakery. The deceased are a woman and her 5-year-old son, residents of Biriagama, Randiagama in Surya Baba. The son, who had returned from preschool, was playing behind the house when he came into contact with this electric wire. The mother had gone to check on her son shortly after. Police stated that when the mother tried to lift her son, who was lying on the ground, she too was electrocuted, and this resulted in the tragic death of both the mother and her son. And finally, on to the weather news update this morning. Now, the Met Department says that except for a few showers in the Galle, Mathura, Kalutara and Ratnapura districts during the evening and night, mainly fair weather will prevail over the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern, northern and north-central provinces, and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning hours as well. We move on to news overseas now. US President Donald Trump has issued what he called a last warning to Hamas to release the hostages being held in Gaza. It comes just hours after the White House confirmed it is holding direct talks with Hamas over these hostages. Washington has until now avoided direct engagement with the group, and there is a long-standing US policy against having direct contact with entities that it lists as terrorist organizations. In his social media post, Trump said there would be, quote-unquote, hell to pay if the hostages were not released, while not specifying the nature of the support he was sending to Israel. He added, quote, release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you, unquote. He also appeared to threaten the civilians, and I quote, also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold the hostages. If you do, you are dead, unquote. Now, this is not the first time Trump has threatened Hamas. In December, he said there would be all hell to pay if hostages were not released by the time he took office. Meanwhile, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed the U.S. has been negotiating directly with Hamas to try to secure the release of these hostages. On to news overseas now. We'll shift our attention to another continent, Australia. Well, Australia braced for a rare east coast tropical cyclone that is swirling towards Brisbane, its third most populous city, with authorities urging residents in flood-prone suburbs to evacuate immediately. Now, storm warnings on Wednesday stretched for more than 500 kilometres across the coast in the states of Queensland and New South Wales, impacting millions of people. Destructive wind gusts of up to 155 kilometers per hour could develop from Thursday afternoon, and tropical cyclone Alfred is expected to land as a Category 2 storm early on Friday morning near Brisbane, which is Queensland's capital. Australia braced for a rare east coast tropical cyclone that is swirling towards Brisbane, its third most populous city, and the authorities have urged the residents to evacuate soon. On to sports news for this morning. Now, one of the most anticipated encounters in Sri Lanka's schools cricket calendar kicks off today. The Royal College Colombo versus St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia Battle of the Blues annual cricket encounter. Recognized as the second oldest schools big match in the world, the 146th edition of this prestigious encounter is set to unfold this year. First played in 1879, the Battle of the Blues holds the distinction of being the only uninterrupted annual school cricket encounter in the world. The match is named the Battle of the Blues as both Royal College Colombo and St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia have blue as their primary school colour. Well, the coveted DSN and Icon Memorial Shield is up for grabs once again. Royal College has claimed the shield 36 times, while St Thomas's College has claimed it 35 times. Royal College last secured victory in 2023, while St Thomas's College is stepping onto the field today, aiming to reclaim the title for the first time since 2019. The three-day encounter will take place at the SSC Grounds Colombo today, tomorrow and the day after. For the 16th consecutive year, the MTV-NBC Media Network will be the official broadcast partner of the Battle of the Blues. Fans can catch all the action live on all MTV-NBC TV and radio channels, as well as through Newsfirst updates and across all of our social media platforms. Well, that's a wrap of this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Do join us once again tomorrow as well, right here on TV1, same time, 7 a.m. for more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.